everything works out in the end. And if it's not working out, then it's not the end.
Welcome back to another episode of Voices of the Goddess, where brilliant women come to take a break from their successful and sometimes overwhelming lives to level up, live free, and create abundance.
If your hectic life has you feeling a bit lost, if you're building your career, brand, or business, or if you simply want to get the most out of life, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Julietta Wenzel, founder of Body and Soul PT and Soul Candy.
And I'm your co-host, Graciela Laurent, professional portrait photographer specializing in boudoir and personal branding.
Whether you're relaxing with a cup of coffee or running around town, we've got you.
Whatever you're doing, thanks for bringing us along and sharing a laugh.
Here comes the magic.
Hello, hello.
Hi, here we are again.
We are. It just keeps happening. It's a Groundhog Day over and over.
But the best Groundhog Day ever, because this is amazing. Right? How lucky are we to do this? Have you been watching our numbers, by the way? Because, you know, we love to share our successes.
Of course we're watching numbers. But, you know, what's really fun is our current editors are making YouTube shorts for us.
Yes. I feel so indulgent. Like, oh my gosh, we're so cool. We have editors. I love it.
We have editors, and like shorts are like the big thing on YouTube. It's the YouTube version of TikTok and YouTube version of Reels. So it's fun to have those out there. But interesting statistic there is we have mostly male viewers of our YouTube. God.
Are you serious? Mostly men?
Mostly men.
That's hysterical. Hello, fellas. Welcome.
Welcome to the show. But the curiosity is, you know, obviously Voices of the Goddess, most of our guests are women. We're women. Like the show is really directed to women, but men are watching too. And my thought is, are they watching because they see like, oh, there's hot women on the screen. Let me check this out.
I don't know about that.
Or is it genuine interest in what we have to say? Is it a safe space for them to, you know, listen to evolution?
Yeah, I mean, that was the first thing that came to my mind, you know, was like, okay, like, you know, I host events here at the studios all the time, and they're like 99% women. And it doesn't mean that they're necessarily just for women. It just so happens to be that those are the people that come and gather, you know? I mean, I try and be as intentionally gender neutral as I can, to be real honest with you, because I believe so much in like, it's the human condition. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, our podcast and everything is geared towards the femininity, right? But like the message really is for everybody. So I don't know, you know, maybe it's the safe space version of how guys can hear what we're talking about, you know, or maybe it's like the lessons they missed out in life, you know, when they were busy being taught how to be a man, you know, like, don't get me wrong. I love myself a manly man and all that sort of stuff, but there's nothing better than a manly man with his feelings intact, like, right? Who like understands women, who understands humans, you know?
Exactly.
I love it. I love it.
Well, welcome to the show, guys. We love having you.
Yes. And leave us comments, like come chat with us, you know? You don't have to agree with everything. But if you see something or hear something that resonates, like do your fellow man a favor. You know, one thing that we women are really good at is realizing that the better we treat ourselves, the more it gives other women permission to do the same. And so I think if men were to do the same, right? Like the stand-up guys, come on out, like show other guys that you can be all the things, right? Like I'm super excited. And we've had guys on the show before as guests. So, you know, it's open to everybody.
Absolutely. Are you ready for a guest?
Let's do it.
All right. Hello, Jess. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
I'm so happy to be here. Hello.
Welcome,
We're
welcome. Look at
excited.
her name, Jess Diamond, everybody. It sounds like we have to practice that like on stage. And now coming to the stage, Jess Diamond. What a great name. I love it.
It is.
Is that your given
Born
name?
with it.
Born with it? Nice. Nice.
So will you please introduce yourself to our audience? Tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what keeps you passionate about doing what you do.
Yeah, so I am Jess Diamond. I am the founder of Jess Diamond Coaching, and I help young professionals get their shit together. I hope I can curse because that's part of my tagline, and then create a life that's worth living for them. I am a certified life and nutrition coach and personal trainer, so I really am the one-stop shop for all 20-somethings to get some part of their life in order to then move on to find what fulfills them and lights them up. And I think just doing this work in general keeps me passionate. It's what made me make this leap from my corporate job into pursuing it full time. So it makes my heart feel so full when I help anyone or talk to people and they have their own light bulb moments and the transformations that occur on their journey when we're working together. And then my own personal continuous growth journey, which comes from either learning from my clients or from me helping them and then needing to swallow my own words. And basically, I just feel no one should have to feel alone on their own journey or when trying to figure things out. And I wanted to become the resource that I once needed, and now I am.
That's beautiful. You know, your 20s are such an interesting time, right? Because you have access to all the privileges and joys of adulthood, but you haven't really had all the full experience yet. And I don't know about you, but when I was 21, I was like, this is the smartest I've ever been. I'm top of the world. I know everything, right? And now in my 40s, I'm like, oh, I really didn't know much of anything, did I? So how exciting for you to gift your 20-somethings the secret, right? The secrets that usually take years to learn. You're just telling them here's the shortcut, right? Do you guys do Cliff Notes? Do those still exist?
Not really.
No, not really. Oh my God, I'm so old. Julietta, you remember Cliff Notes?
Of course I remember Cliff Notes.
God.
I never used them though. I always read the whole book.
Yeah. So did I. Well, maybe once in a crunch. Yeah, I don't know. So you yourself are in your 20s, yes?
Yeah.
And so I'm sure you hit up against a bunch of limiting beliefs. What limiting beliefs did you have to let go of to be able to be successful in what you're doing? Was your age one of them?
Yeah, my age was the one. It is, I still kind of butt heads with it at times. And I've had people not want to work with me and have expressed not wanting to work with me because of my age. So the I'm too young to be in this career was, and still kind of is, a massive limiting belief. But I've learned to accept that and transform it. And the clients that do want to work with me know that that's not the case. And my age isn't the limiting factor from what my brain holds and the value I provide. And it's really just, I'm wise beyond my years. And I experienced a lot that usually takes people about 10 years to experience, I would say, within a really short amount of time since graduating college. And learn to persevere through it and continue to grow and learn, and for the benefit of myself and for the benefit of my clients. And I do get the common misconception is with my age is how could I be a life coach? I have an experienced life. And the answer is simple for me, is that I've trained and studied to be able to do what I do. And I'm not giving advice. I'm asking you the right questions and guiding you to the answer that you already hold within you, and then taking action accordingly. So a quote that I came up with, probably when I first started embarking on this journey myself, was, I don't tell you how to live your life. I teach you how to make your life worth living. And That's in essence what a life coach is.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you do sound wise beyond your years. But that's the thing, right? Years are just numbers. That's just the passage of time. It's experience that's the real teacher.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So Jess, we are building a goddess library because Graciela and I love books. We both have massive libraries on our own, but we'd like to know, what is one book that you wish everyone would read and why?
So I thought about this one, and because I read every morning, that is part of my morning routine. I love reading self-help books. I started reading them during the pandemic, and I just never stopped. But one of the first self-help books I did read was more of a fictional story, and it was The Alchemist by Paulo. I'm going to butcher his last name, but Paulo, I think it is. And it's just a fun fictional story with this amazing underlying message of pursuing your dreams and accepting the challenges that come with it and believing that it'll all work out in the long run. And relating it to your life, how life isn't just handed to you. You have to go after the things that you want. The universe is going to support you through that journey as long as you don't give up on yourself.
I love that. And I love that earlier you said that everything that you need is already inside of you. You know, like that's one of the big tenets of our podcast, of where Juliet and I are going in the future. And it took me quite a while to figure all that out. So again, I just think it's really neat that you're doing that in your 20s. Like what a great gift that you're able to give someone. Another gift that I would love to hear how it shows up in your life is knowing that all of this is cyclical, right? Like there is no summit, right? There is no peak of the mountain. There is only the next level, right? And so you're always leveling up. So I know you're, unfolding your business and you're growing it constantly. What are you looking forward to? Like, what's your next big evolution? And not that this one's even remotely done, right? Because you're just like gearing up, but there's always the next level. What's your next level? What's something that you've been wanting to do and maybe you've been hesitating on a little bit?
So I mentioned to you guys before we started that I'm starting a podcast of my own. And it's been, what I didn't tell you is like, I've had this podcast content and idea for the last 2 years. I've just been saying like, I want to start a podcast. This is what it's going to be. And I never actually made the moves to pursue it. And even at the start of this year was really when everyone was talking about New Year's resolutions. And I ran a workshop about what you want to accomplish this year. And I was saying like, I want to start a podcast, but that's not in the cards for this year. That's a next year thing. That is by my next birthday, which is in March. So it's the beginning of the year. And I just kept bringing it up in different conversations. And then about a month and a half ago, I was like, no, this is happening. This is the Q2 of this year thing. Like I'm done holding on to it. It's time for the world to hear my brain, to hear other people's stories, to hear advice, like logical advice that you can, how to navigate your 20s. That's really what it's going to be about. And then as well as how everyone is on very different timelines and that it's okay because my generation, we all grew up on this idea that you're on a set path and like you go to high school, you go to college, you find a job, you find the love of your life, you get a house, you settle down, you start a family, like that's your life. And you quickly come to find out that is not it at all for just about everybody. I think there are some people that do go on that path, which is perfectly okay, but it makes everyone else feel like they're doing something wrong. And I want to be that voice of no, but if you do find yourself stuck or not on the path that you want to be, this is what you can do as a result. So that's also part of me evolving and leveling up. And I consider it to be an upward spiral. I don't think like we're not constantly on this straight path up. There's going to be those dips, but the dips are not going to be much lower. It's like you're just constantly kind of going in this wave up. And it's a really beautiful way to look at your life and that it's never over. It's never over until it's over and you're in a grave, which is very morbid, but there's always something that you can do and something you can work on to continue moving forward.
I find it so interesting. Like I thought that belief system was gone, that you follow this set path, that you go to high school, you go to college, you find the love of your life, you get married, you get a house, you have kids. Like I thought that was gone. So to hear you say that people in their 20s still believe that that's the path, and man, I hope everybody can just realize that there is no set path anymore. Everybody gets to choose and do whatever it is that you want. You don't have to, because that's all about shoulding, doing what you should. And I wish we would remove should from the dictionary, like that word no longer exists, that concept no longer exists, and you get to do whatever you want, whatever moves you, whatever fills your heart, whatever fills your soul. Just go do it. It's okay.
You know, it's funny because I had the same thought, Julietta, when she said that. I was like, what? Really? I thought that had been like eradicated, right?
I thought so too.
I thought like we had the vaccine.
It is slowly disintegrating. I think Gen Z is a good representation of like, this is not the case anymore. But I know for myself, like that was, and it's also the way I was brought up. Everyone in my family took that path. So it was all I really ever knew. I didn't know there was an option to do something outside of what you studied in college. I didn't know you could change your mind at several different points in your life. And like, if you change your career now, it's like, what's stopping you from changing again later? Like nothing. You can choose to start something new and like take that next step and take a risk. And I think like a large part of that comes from knowing in myself of when I took this risk and this path is I kept, to this day, I still say like, okay, well, worst case, I go back to my corporate job. That's always going to be there. I have a degree in that like world. I can always go back, but I'm never going to regret making this move forward.
Yeah, it's so powerful. I think, you know, maybe that's the gift that your generation gets is being told that now in your 20s and not in your 40s, you know? Because also in fairness, you still like, you know, and Julietta and I laugh about this because I'm always like, you know, I'm a Pisces, right? Like half in the dream world and half, you know, barely half in reality, right? And so part of me is like, yes, I want to, you know, fly on rainbows all day. And then it's like my mortgage is like, yeah, but don't forget me, you know? So it's like, there is the reality that your generation is facing the most expensive real estate market ever, the highest cost of, you know, avocados, right? Like there is a lot there. I will say you also have the beautiful opportunity that the world is literally at your fingertips with technology where it is today. You know, like you can literally take classes from Cornell for free if you just Google it enough. Like you really can learn anything you want to and create that life, right? That has that balance. Do you have a particular, and I'm sure your client stories are confidential, but do you have a client story that you can share that you're especially proud of?
Oh man, I think honestly, every client has a really special story. I'll say one in particular. I met him when I first moved here to Charlotte. That's where I live now. And it took him a couple months to finally make that move to be like, okay, it's time for me to work with you, which is okay. Everyone comes at their own time. You have to be willing, able, and ready. You need all three in order for this process to work for you. And his success story is unbelievable. I'm not going to go into extreme details, but basically, I think it was after the fact, the momentum kept going once we completed our time together. Was now he got a promotion at his job. He was able to save money and buy a house. He stopped blacking out on the weekends and doing drugs. He lost a lot of weight and looked super fit, all in a very healthy way. And really just his entire trajectory of his life shifted, and his things that he once only dreamed of became a reality for him. And it's something beautiful that I get to watch now unfold because of the foundation we put in place by working together.
Girl, woo, round of applause for you. That's amazing. What a great, great story.
Love it. And the thing is that everybody has that possibility. They just have to choose it. And someone recently was talking to me about, you know, they didn't want a coach. They didn't want someone telling them what to do. And like, they're like, I already know what I have to do. And I said, like the best of the best all have coaches. Like they know what they need to do too. And they choose to have a coach so that they can ensure that they get to where they want to get. I mean, there's no there's no shame in getting a coach. We all need to have coaches coaches have coaches. So
I have a coach.
They always say never hire a coach who doesn't have a coach.
Yeah. Well, I think so. I have a business coach. She's a life and mindset and business coach. And she like preaches that how can you expect someone to invest in themselves if you're not investing in yourself?
Absolutely. And sometimes you just need a sounding board, right? Like just somebody that's further along the path than you know, like absolutely.
Yeah. Or just a third party perspective looking into your life that only is rooting for you to succeed, because you can go to your friends and your friends want you to succeed. I want my friends to succeed. But a problem that comes up is your friends are going to relate it back to their lives. They're not trained to ask you the questions that you need to move forward or hold you accountability to actually make sure you're following through on the things that aren't making you too happy in this moment. But I talk about all the time, like actors have acting coaches, singers have singing coaches, all professional athletes have coaches for various different things. What makes you think you don't need a coach?
Yeah. And honestly, you know, as a coach, like, you know, when I look for coaches and mentors, I'm looking for people to tell it to me straight. Like my friends are my cheerleaders, right? Like if I feel like, am I good enough? I'll call my friends because I'll be like, you're amazing. You're awesome. You can do anything. But like, if I need some like real shit, like I have to call I got to call the mentor and be like, okay, am I screwing this up or am I doing this good? Should I do this differently? You know, give me your opinion. And then, you know, and then she holds up that super powerful mirror. That's like, take a look, you know, it's a very powerful path that you're on.
Yeah.
So we're nearing the end. And first of all, thank you so much for being here and for doing this. All ages aside, what you're doing is absolutely amazing. What parting thought would you like to gift our audience? If you could, you know, if everybody would remember just the last thing you said, what would you like that to be?
Oh man.
No pressure.
Well, I think what I thought about with this is there's like so many different parting gifts I would want to give, but it kind of goes with the theme of the book I recommended and different times it's come up in this conversation. And it's going to sound cheesy, but everything works out in the end. And if it's not working out, then it's not the end. Just don't give up on yourself. You've got to keep going. It's something I remind myself if I'm having my down moments. It's like, hey, keep going. Like this is going to work out. It's going to see itself through. And it's also things I remind my clients of if they're having their down moments. I tell people to reflect back. I was like, when was like a bad time in your life and how did that end up playing out? And did it end up playing out better than you could have imagined? Like, did it bring you to a place you never would have thought of, but it all worked out in the way it was supposed to? And pretty much everyone is like, yeah, it did work out in the way it was supposed to. It sucks in the moment, but you got to keep going.
My version of that, I always tell myself and my clients, everybody, the universe conspires in our favor. And so those terrible things that are happening, they seem terrible at the moment, but they're truly the best thing that could ever happen to you because they were what's necessary to get you to the next level. So.
Yeah. And I always reflect back to to 2020. That was a horrible year in my life. I was unemployed because I was furloughed from my job. I also didn't qualify for unemployment. I was a dependent on my mom for 2019, so I didn't get the stimulus. Like it was just, everything was really stressful, but it gave me the time to explore a fitness passion of mine, which then brought me into coaching, which then completely changed my career, my mental process, the people I surround myself with. Like my life wouldn't be where it's at today without losing my job in 2020. But it did when it happened.
That's it. And it's so hard to see that, right? Like when you're in it, it's so hard to see it. But, you know, one of my favorite quotes is, you know, you have survived 100% of your days. Like you literally have an A+ in surviving, you know, and every day is another opportunity, right? Like, and you can even take a day off and the next day will still pop up. Like you really can't screw this thing up. You know what I mean? You just get to live. I love it. Thank you so much for being here, Jess. We're so appreciative of you and your wisdom beyond your years.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was a blast to talk about and give some wisdom.
And we're looking forward to your podcast.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Keep us informed when it's released so we can all tune in.
I will. I'm hoping for a June release.
Awesome.
We'll see how that timeline goes.
And we're here for you too. If you need any podcasting advice, reach out anytime. We are happy to help.
Thank you.
All right,
guys.
Everyone.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks for joining us today and keeping us in the top 10% of podcasts in the world.
Ask us how you can promote your business on this podcast as a sponsor, and make sure you check out the show notes for details on how to get in touch with Julieta, Graciela, or today's special guest.
We're sending you lots of love and gratitude. Have a magical day.